What's up guys, I hope all of you are doing absolutely amazing. In this video I will not talk about Reddit the first time. In this video I will talk about how to generate high spenders on OnlyFans, because so far I've talked about basically all the Reddit topics. I have done everything there, but I would also like to help you now converting those subscribers that you can generate with all the knowledge I'm giving you from Reddit now into money. So this is what we're gonna look into today. Today the topic is how to generate high spenders, nothing else. This is not a complete chatting course or anything. This is just this topic. Over the next weeks I will upload a lot of videos just for chatting in exactly this style, little topics, little videos. Be prepared for that. And yeah, let's start now right with the video. The first thing a lot of people don't understand when it comes to generating high spenders on OnlyFans is the fact that not every sub can actually become a high spender. This is the first thing which is really important to understand. Why is that the case? First of all, we live in a world where not everyone, obviously should be obvious for most of the people here, but not everyone is able to spend a few K every month or every week, no matter what you're expecting when it comes to a high spender, on an OnlyFans model. This is the first thing which you need to understand. Most of the people, they are fucking broke. This is the reality of our world. Most of the people, they don't have money, and spending a few hundred, a few K every month on an OF girl is literally not possible for them. The next reason why not every sub can become a high spender is if they have, for example, the financial potential to become one. They are often subscribed already to so many girls on OnlyFans, and they kind of understood now the drill, how everything is going on the platform. They understand, okay, those agencies, they always work with the same scripts and stuff like this. They kind of understand what is going on. They just play the game, but they will not go way deeper into this game with us. They are not ready to spend their entire life savings on this OnlyFans profile. And this is another reason why nowadays it is super hard to generate high spenders, because so many people already have OnlyFans now for a few years, a few months, whatever, and they are just used to it. They are just used to getting fucked by models or agencies, and that's why there is literally very little potential for them to become high spenders anymore. What is though the case? These little amount of people that are actually able to become high spenders, even though we have all of those reasons why so many cannot become high spenders, we should still focus on giving those subscribers the best chances on becoming a high spender. With this topic, I've built up a 4-phase structure, which I will show you now, which will give you the guidance in order to be able to give this little percentage of people the best chance in order to become a high spender. Just because you're following those 4 phases does not mean at all you will generate a high spender. First of all, there's also things that come into consideration. Maybe you generate a subscriber who was never on OnlyFans before. That is very good for you, but that also does not mean at all that you will make him a high spender on your model. A lot of people just have also this entry barrier when it comes to spending money on porn online, so you also need to be aware of this. But now let's focus on the part giving those people the best chances to become a high spender. And the first phase, which I always tell my chatters, is the talking stage. The talking stage is, in my opinion, the most important stage when it comes to generating high spenders and also spenders in general on your OnlyFans. The first thing which is important here is to gather infos about the subscriber. If we have no information about the subscriber, first of all, everything is super unpersonal. You cannot go like more into detail. You cannot start a deeper conversation with the person. If the first thing you're sending out is a PPV on OnlyFans, you're instantly going into the selling, and you're not even able to provide a girlfriend experience on OnlyFans. And we should all know now, girlfriend experience brings more money than just stupid selling of videos. And this is why it is super important to start the conversations like literally when you start chatting with a girl or whatever on Instagram. You first of all try to get to know her, you try to get some information about her, and then go more into those type of things she tells you about herself. For example, if she likes to go skiing, maybe you've been skiing before as well, and then you can go more into that. Let's say the subscriber says, okay, I like going skiing, I always go every year in Switzerland. Then you can say something like, oh yes, I like skiing as well. I've unfortunately never been to Switzerland, but maybe you can take me one day. Ha ha ha. Something like this. Try to go into the points he is mentioning, and also that way you are able to get the entire conversation way more personal. The next thing, which I see a lot of people getting wrong, is getting extremely sexual right from the beginning when there's a sub coming in. Of course, there's always these subscribers that come in and instantly send a dick pic or stuff like this. Those subscribers I'm not talking about. Those subscribers in 99% of the cases will not become a high spender anyways. They are completely fucked, and those ones I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the normal guy which is working a normal or a good paying job, and those type of guys we're focusing on when it comes to becoming or getting them as a high spender. And yeah, in those cases it is extremely important to not have sexuality right in the talking stage. And the reason for that is, imagine yourself texting a girl on Instagram. If she sends you after 10 minutes nudes on Instagram, do you really consider her a girl which is interesting for example, a long-term relationship? No, not at all. These girls are absolute whores. They are like not interesting for us. We don't want them, and this is why also we should not do that on OnlyFans. And this is also one of the reasons I personally don't have crazy sexuality in the feed of the OnlyFans profile, but that's a complete different topic. I don't want to get into that right now, but yeah, this is one of the reasons why I personally do not try to have sexuality in the beginning of the talking stage. Next thing is understanding the sub's potential, and this is getting way easier if you have a customer relationship management tool, a CRM like Inflow, for example, which I presented I think a few videos before, and why this is super nice to have and why it is way easier to understand subs potentials. Let's say you have a profile with 100 subscribers a day coming in. You're not able to keep all of those informations in your mind, what the subs are telling you. And this is where the CRM steps in. The CRM allows you to write informations about each subscriber on the right side of the chat. You can write down his age, you can write down where he's from, you can write down his job. Every important information which could be interesting when it comes to generating a high spender, when it comes to having important information and just stuff that you need in order to evaluate if this sub has potential. And let's say it like this. A student which just turned 18 and just finished high school is less likely to become a high spender like one who's, for example, a guy who's 55, just divorced and is working as a lawyer, for example. The guy who is a lawyer, just divorced, has way more potential. He's trying to get attention from women. We're giving him exactly this on the OnlyFans, and this is why we should write down this information. So because not every chatter is chatting 24 hours a day, obviously. So the chatter who goes after this chatter into this chat already has those information, can right away understand, okay, this sub maybe has potential, this sub maybe doesn't have potential when it comes to generating a high spender. And this is the phase one, which is extremely important. And yeah, let's now get into phase two, which is actually the getting sexual phase. What I said before is we're not trying to get the conversation sexual in the phase one. In phase two, I'm always telling my chatters that we are likely, or we want the sexuality to come from the subscribers. Of course, there's often times where sexuality is not coming at all from the subscribers, so we need to be a little more pushy there. But in most cases, the subscribers get a little bit sexual, especially like give them a little hints, like for example what I just mentioned with the skiing. Oh, you can take me one day, haha. And then he would be like replying, haha, yeah, that's a good idea. And then you can get a little bit into the sexual conversations. But what I'm always trying to say, if the sexuality comes from the subscriber, it is way more likely to get him converted, especially if they are normal people, compared to when we are turning the conversation sexual. The next thing, which in phase 2 is then important, is obviously to start a script. I will not go into what is a script, how does a script work. I expect in those videos that you know what those things are, but this is the next step in phase 2, starting the script, starting to sell the first PPV. Phase 3. Evaluate subs potential. Let's just say you finished the conversation, you started with selling your script, and the subscriber bought a few PPVs. Let's say your script has 5 PPVs. In total, you sell it all together, the script, for $250. Obviously, the subscriber who pays through all the 5 PPVs right away has way more potential on becoming a high spender compared to the person who is literally just buying 1 PPV and then saying, I don't have any more money. Of course, you also need to put in consideration, why does this person doesn't have any more money? Maybe it's the end of the month, maybe he's getting paid and then he has a lot of money again. Maybe this person just bought for the entire script because he just got paid and stuff like this. But this is information we will get later on from the subscribers most likely. But yeah, just in general, the subscriber who buys through the entire script obviously has way more potential than the subscriber who's buying 1 or 2 PPVs. The next thing, which is very, very important, is to understand his intentions. What are his intentions? Does he just want to meet us? Does he want an online girlfriend? Does he just sometimes wants to jerk off to something? Those are all important things which obviously also need to go into consideration when you're evaluating the sub's potential when it comes to becoming a high spender. Obviously, someone who's pushing right away from the beginning on meeting this girl and just buying 2 PPVs on the first script and then saying, I want to meet you now, those guys most likely are not that good when it comes to becoming high spenders. When it goes into the direction of he buys 5 PPVs, he's just normal, oh, I enjoyed this, let's do this again in a few days. This is more likely to be someone who is interesting for us when it comes to generating him as a high spender. And yeah, this is phase 3, and this is something which obviously your chatters need to do themselves, understanding, okay, do these guys have potential, do these guys have no potential, and this is something which you obviously need to teach them. The next thing and the last phase is phase 4, treat the sub matchingly based on the informations you have about them. Let's just say you gathered all the informations, you have the facts, he's a lawyer, he's 55, he bought all 5 PPVs of the first script, of the welcome script I'm just selling to him, and now you decide to treat him like shit. Now you decide 3 hours later, after selling the first script to him, you decide to try and sell another script. This is just not the way a subscriber should get treated. And I will not tell you now, wait 48 hours minimum in order to sell to him the next script. Those type of things I'm not going to do here. Those type of things are something which you need to figure out yourself. But those are still important things which you need to keep in mind. No girl is horny 24/7. Yes, it is amazingly for a man to think about, oh my girl is always horny. That's just not the case. And it's also not gonna give the guy a good feeling if he's paying, after he just paid $250 for an entire script, which is a lot of money, goes right into the next script, gives him right away the exact same way of selling, and is charging him another $250. And in this moment, the guy will start thinking, oh, I'm getting fucked here. This is just for money. This is not a relationship I'm building here. I'm just getting used for money by this girl. It's the same thing as if you're going with a girl for dinner. She's just taking the dinner, then goes home and then texts you the next day, hey, can we go for dinner again today? You're gonna think, oh, she's fucking just using me for money. I don't want to be with this girl. And this is the exact same thinking which you also need to implement here on OnlyFans in phase 4, that you need to treat the sub matchingly. You now, after the first script, need to start having proper conversations with them. You need to understand more, gather more information about them, try to get more personal things, and then maybe after a few days you can sell another script. Maybe when he is getting sexual towards you again, when he is saying, oh, I'm looking at your pictures again, I'm getting hard again, this is the moment where you should start selling again. There's no other moment, in my opinion, after you sold the first script where you should try to get into the script. If a subscriber bought for an entire script and you are always chatting daily with him, there will be a point where he is gonna get sexual again, where he's gonna have the desire to see her naked, to see her masturbating again. And this is exactly the moment which we're looking for. And this is the exact moment which we're gonna make money again, and which where we are going to generate him into becoming a high spender. Those are the 4 phases which are extremely important when it comes to generating high spenders on OnlyFans. In case all of this chatting thing now is too complicated for you, whatever, and you watch till here and you realize all of this shit is too much for me, I put a first link into the description where I'm offering to put my chatters on your backend and managing your backend completely myself, giving my backend managers, my chatters on there, giving you my scripts. In case that should be interesting, you can check that out. Besides that, I hope I was able to help out all of you when it comes to generating high spenders on your OF. And yeah, guys, have a nice day and bye bye.